Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Flight 17KZ. We will be departing from the Republic of Privilege and heading towards the unseen states of inequality. My name is Khongorzol and I'll be your captain this evening. Please fasten your seatbelts, secure your open minds, and prepare for departure in approximately 5 minutes. Despite 17 years of flight time, I still have no idea how taxes work. Not to worry though, we will soon depart from the runway of understanding and if all goes well, land safely at the International Airport of Change. We thank you for flying with Khongorzol Airlines and please enjoy your flight. If you've ever been on a plane, you know it's interesting. There's minimal legroom, the baby 3 rows down won't stop crying, and the food? It's questionable. They always seem to run out of chicken right before reaching your seat. But despite these hiccups, someone is always there for you, whether that be the pilot steering your entire journey and making sure you don't have to think about where you're going or how to get there. Or perhaps the flight attendant, who puts your comfort as their utmost priority, making sure all your needs are met throughout the journey. But unfortunately, the harsh truth is, life doesn't come with a flight crew. You don't always get someone, a mentor, someone guiding you along your path to life, someone making sure you have everything you need. Some of us don't even have legroom. Not unless you're first class. And when I'm in the sky, if we're sitting in economy, we see a velvet curtain hiding our view from what's on the other side of the plane. And funnily enough, when you're sitting in economy, you have no idea how good the first class seats have it. Similarly, the first class attendees also have no idea how hard it is to sit in economy. And that's unfair, but it would be all right if it was just up in the sky. However, when we come down to earth, the situation is still the same, but this time, it's in our classrooms. It's with our children. And when I see classrooms, one has 25 students. They get access to college counseling, psychologists, top international programs that make sure they get accepted to the best universities in the world. But then the other class, they squeeze together 50, 60, or even 70 students, and they're just left asking if anyone has an extra pen. Now that's not fair. And when I see these situations, I'm able to understand that the cruelest inequalities are precisely the ones we cannot see. So, I decided, hey, I'm not gonna let this happen. I was gonna be Batman. For Gotham, for justice. I was going to fight for the justice for these children. But how can I help them when I alone was also stuck in a very poorly managed, poorly funded school? When I was about this high, when I was 5 years old, I was lucky enough to learn English in a beautiful country called Thailand. It was beautiful. And my mother worked day and night so I could learn English, so I can afford a good education. But unfortunately, we weren't always able to afford that education. So when I come back to Mongolia, I was stuck in a very uncomfortable situation, in a school where children were not being heard and children were not being served. What was a girl to do? And then when I was sitting in English class, the teacher came in. She was poorly paid, poorly managed, and she did not like the school either. So she began teaching us present simple tense. Subject, verb, adverb. And by next year, she was gone. A new teacher came. Once again, she started teaching us present, verb, adverb. And it went like this for 3 years straight. And a girl like me, who was supposed to be children in first language, who were supposed to be learning poetry, literature, how to expand their knowledge, how to write essays, they were stuck learning present, simple tense. I knew it couldn't go on like this for me, for my little siblings, for my classmates. So, what can I do? One day, I was scrolling through Facebook. Please don't judge me. I was scrolling, and then one day I came across an advertisement. But it wasn't just any advertisement. It was an ad for a school called TEDxInternational School. It was beautiful. It had incredible facilities, and the teachers, they really looked like they were going to make sure your dreams came true. They had that face where they just cared about the children, and it was a rich school that made sure to provide every necessity. I wanted to be in that school. And then my heart started beating rapidly because that very school was giving 100% scholarship access to this school for the winner of their English Olympiad. I was so excited because, hey, I speak English. I think I do a pretty good job at it. If it was math, I'd be screwed, but it was English. So I signed up. I got to the Olympiad venue. I sat down. A very nice-looking lady sat us all down. There was like 50 kids in the class. And we all turned our paper around. We started writing. And 30 minutes in, I see something. To my right, someone gets up. I'm like, they give bathroom breaks? But no, the kid was already finished. The exam was an hour, 30 minutes, and this kid was already finished within 30 minutes. I started getting nervous. I started rechecking all my answers. Like, I cannot be this bad, right? To my left, another kid gets up. She's already finished too. And one by one, all of them keep standing up, handing in their papers, and I was one of the last 3 students? Wow. At that point, I felt really dejected. My confidence was 0, because for the past 3 years, I was the girl who learned present simple tense. So, I gave in my paper. I felt like a great big disappointment. Went home, told my mom about it, and a little bit cried in my bedroom. And as I was wallowing in my sorrow, my grandma calls. And she takes me to a camp with her 50 to 60-year-old friends. I did not go willingly. But when I got there, around the campfire, those very 50 to 60-year-olds that I was critiquing were actually so full of passion and wonder. At that point of their lives, they were able to stop and look around and ask, hey, do you guys need something? Does anyone need help? And that sight warmed my heart. It was the exact environment kids today needed. And as I was sitting with my grandma and I was telling her and her friend about how I totally didn't get the scholarship, I received a phone call. Hello? Mom? Benno? You got first place! I started jumping up and down. I couldn't believe my ears. I got first place? I started screaming all over the place, jumping and dancing. And funnily enough, my grandma's friend, the grandpa, stood up too, and he was also dancing and jumping around for me. He was more excited than I was. He started yelling, this girl, she got first place, and she beat 500 kids. Sir, it's not 500 kids, it's 50 kids. 150 kids! He was so excited for me, and it just really melted my heart right then and there. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was that exact opportunity to this school, that exact interaction that melted my heart, that would eventually lead me to find and discover my dream, my passion, which was to one day make sure education was accessible and effective for every youth in the world. But I knew I was still not ready. So I went and met with incredible people, people from Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, people who worked in UNICEF for children. And as I talked to these people, interacted with them more and more, I realized something, that the most highly successful people and who are actually very appreciative of what they have are actually the people who are most willing to help you. And under their guidance and mentorship, I huddled together a bunch of teenagers, young Batmen who also wanted to fight for justice, also wanted to fight for their futures. And together, we created a nonprofit organization called SOAR and geo. Scholars of action and resilience. And in a span of 3 months, we were able to impact 1,500 youth. And we just set up a chapter in Canada. It was incredibly possible for even teenagers, if they set their mind onto something, they could accomplish it, whatever that be. I was extremely happy and excited about this. But you don't have to join entire organizations to make this kind of change. Actually, the best kind of change happens right now. In our day-to-day lives, look towards the people sitting next to you. You are extremely powerful, and you don't know how much impact you create just by sitting next to them right now. So, to create this kind of change, I've developed a little theory, and I would like all of you to experience this with me. Let's imagine we're on a flight from the United States of America to Mongolia to attend this very TED Talk. So, our plane takes off, and the trajectory looks something like this, straight. Let's imagine our pilot dozes off a little bit. He's tired, you know? Pilots, they fly for 8 hours straight. And then he dozes off a little bit. The plane tilts just 1 degree north. 1 degree. Unnoticeable. A tiny shift. But then you would miss Mongolia entirely and you'd end up in Siberia, Russia. Yikes, that is not our TED Talk. Let's try again. This time, our pilot didn't fall asleep. He got a little bit lazy. And then the trajectory degree shifted just 1 degree south. And we ended up in Inner Mongolia, China. Oh my. And the same thing applies to life as well. You don't notice the shift until it's too late. 1 degree difference, 1 opportunity, 1 mentor, that 1 idea can change your life entirely. But this doesn't have to be a bad thing. If we are able to adopt the 1%, 1 degree mindset, the 1% shift, into a positive note, and we incorporate it into our lives with the mentality of sharing, where we start to ask ourselves, hey, who needs help today? Who didn't board the plane? Who doesn't have leg room? Who never even boarded the plane? When we start to ask these questions, when you start to ask yourself, what can I give? This can be the real systemic change, the most powerful thing our societies can incorporate today. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's widen the aisles and make space for everyone on the flight. For the people who don't think they'll get past the gate. Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts. We're beginning a descent into a future that is ours to rewrite. On behalf of the crew here at Khongorzol Airlines, we thank you for choosing to fly with us today. Let's not land just safely, but together, where a 1% impact, where a 1% effort can make 100% of a difference. Thank you.